How to stand out at soccer trials in 7 minutes, which means we're going to cover this stuff in around 7 minutes or less to keep it very succinct, give you a good amount of information and awareness that you can then take away and apply or think about before your upcoming trial so that you can get prepared and do things that are just going to help you more likely make the team. That's what we're going to be covering today, so let's get right into it. Now, number one is to be prepared. You know, a lot of players will just rock up or show up at tryouts and they haven't been preparing for this tryout. You know, for example, if you show up to a tryout out of shape or not fit, you know, that's not really excusable, especially from a coach's perspective. You know, if you don't have the discipline to get in shape before the trial, you know, the coach might factor that in and think you're lazy or something else because of that. Now, if you're injured and you're just getting back from injury or something like that, then maybe that's unavoidable and that's a completely different situation. But if you know, for example, oh, tryouts are coming up in 6 months or however many months, and I'm not in the best of shape, it's probably time to get on a regimen. It's probably time to get yourself fit, get yourself practiced and working so you're giving yourself the best chance possible during the trial, because a lot of times they'll play full-sided games or small games, and if you're, you know, 10-20 minutes huffing and puffing, it's not going to look good for you as far as what the coaches are going to think about how you practice, how disciplined you are, and whether or not they want you on their team. Number two is to stay calm, stay composed, just relax and play your game. You know, a lot of players show up very nervous to the tryout. They put a lot of importance on it and therefore don't play their game. You know, they'll try and rush things, they'll try and be overly safe and just not play in the way they normally would. And one of the best things you can do at a trial is stop thinking about it as a tryout in the sense of like, I've got to make this team, it's super important, because you're just going to put too much pressure on you. Play how you would normally play in a regular match, or at least try your best to. Now, you might be doing a few different things to show what you can do, but don't allow it to put so much pressure on you that you're making unnecessary mistakes, you're rushing your plays, you're even doing things that you wouldn't normally do. Keeping your composure, staying calm before trials and during trials is going to go a long way to impressing the coaches, because you'll just be able to play your own game, and ultimately you want to show these coaches what you can do. Number three is communicate and show some leadership qualities. You know, at trials, a lot of times it's a bunch of players who don't know each other. You know, it's not like you've been teammates or anything of that nature. Maybe a friend or two that you know was there, but it may not be that you know many of these players and they don't know you, and nobody really knows each other, especially if you're trying to get the best players from the area and they're not coming from the same teams or whatever else it is, depending on the trial. So communicate and show that you're willing to communicate for, you know, the betterment of the team you're playing on right now in this trial to win the match. You know, communicate and tell your teammates, you know, that there's a man on. Tell them where the space is, what position to be in, whatever else it is. Now, don't just shout things at people. Communicating means you're actually giving useful information that's helping. But by communicating, actually being vocal, this will demonstrate to the coaches, again, that this person's not shy. They're not afraid to stand out. They're not afraid to communicate and help their team win, even in a match like this. Again, don't just communicate to communicate and be loud and whatever else, but showing that communication in an environment where a lot of players are shy and nervous to do so might go a long way in showing the coaches that you're a leader. Now, of course, you have to play well. You can't play poor and have just some good communication skills and then make the team. You know, they want good footballers. However, communicating and actually being that player that's out there, that's communicating as if, you know, these are your teammates already, can only help you. Another one, which is number four, is work hard and don't be lazy. You know, a lot of players, I remember some of the trials I've been to, and again, these would be good players, but some of them would not be giving their all during these trials for whatever reason. It might be bad habits. It might be that's just how they normally play. Perhaps on their other team, they were the main man, so they didn't track back or they didn't work hard. But again, this is a completely new team, and coaches are going to pick up on that right away. And I know many coaches who would prefer a harder working player who's good over a lazy player who's better skillfully, right? Because a harder working player is going to give more to the team. And so demonstrate in this trial that you're willing to work hard. You're going to track back. You're going to do your duties. You're not going to throw your hands up and give up if something doesn't go your way. And coaches will pick up on that. You know, again, many trials when I was younger, attended, you know, many players might lose the ball or make a mistake and throw their hands up and just get frustrated instead of track back or get back in the game. And I know coaches pick up on this because many have told me that. You know, I've had my college coach tell me that. You know, they look for how you react when things are maybe not going your way. And so make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're working hard, you're staying in it, you're not getting frustrated. Remember, staying calm. And again, it's going to go a long way to showing the coach a little more about your character. Number 5 is a very important one because, again, a lot of players put so much emphasis on the tryout and importance. They get nervous. They start doing things that they wouldn't normally do. They start trying to impress. They start trying to think, maybe if I dribble 5 players, the coaches will be impressed. Now, if you're someone who usually dribbles and that's something you're typically good at, then go for it. But play to your strengths. Don't try and work on your weaknesses now that you're at the trial. If you're an amazing goal scorer, make sure you play in an advanced position and you're demonstrating that. If you're really good at taking players one-on-one, make sure you're demonstrating that. If you're a tidy midfielder, make sure you're demonstrating that. But don't try and be a tidy midfielder who never dribbles to then trying to do that at the trial because you think that's what the coaches want. Ultimately, show the best of you as a player. And if you do it well enough and a coach needs someone for that role, they will most likely take you if you're doing it especially better than anyone else there. Ultimately, you want to play to your strengths. And a little tip I'll give you is try to play your position that you know you're really good at the trial. Really ask to play that position. And number 6 is take risks if it makes sense. Right? If you are an attacking player, you're going to need to take risks. Don't play timid. Now, I say if it makes sense because if you're a defensive player, you're not going to be taking as many risks. You're not going to try and dribble up or be putting in crosses most of the time or shooting unless those opportunities present themselves, but they don't always do for a defender. So for defenders, usually it's going to be about, again, just playing your role the best that you can. But if you're an attacker, for example, in a winger, and you're nervous, and you're not taking players one-on-one, you're not getting crosses in, you're not trying to score, it's not really... what can you offer the team at that point? It's like having a striker who never shoots the ball, never even is a goal threat. You're not going to serve this team, so they're not going to put you on the team. Be sure to take calculated risks. Don't play timidly. Again, play your game. Again, if you usually take players one-on-one, go for it. You might lose the ball every now and then, but if the situation calls for it and it's a smart option and that's something you do anyway, go for it. Take those risks. Allow yourself to stand out in this trial because I guarantee there's going to be players who are nervous. There'll be players who are trying to be players that they're not usually trying to be. There'll be players making a lot of mistakes, getting frustrated, whatever else it is. Be the one who's in there confidently, taking risks, being bold, doing what they normally do, being dangerous, whatever else it is. And again, that will go a long way to helping you make the team. All right, guys, that is how to stand out at soccer trials. I think we went a little over 7 minutes, but we kept it pretty succinct. And I hopefully have given you plenty of information that you can now take away, use in your next trial, and obviously, ideally, make the team. Again, a lot of this will be done before you go to the trial, but then keep in mind some of the things I've given you while you're actually there, and it will go a long way to helping you make the team. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to this video. I'll see you in the next one.